And welcome back to Open Your Eyes, and we're moving into our first segment for this morning. Then again, something to reckon with. Actually, introductory interview with the Commissioner of Police, his senior and his junior deputy. In with us, the Commissioner of Police, Chester Williams, right there in center. Everybody know you, so they definitely will not miss you. Edward Broadster, who is the Senior Deputy Commissioner of Police, and Robert Mariano, Junior Deputy Commissioner of Police. Guys, good morning and welcome. It's nice to have you in.
Thank you.
I
don't have a good conversation.
Definitely. We know why. But it's definitely something that folks would have said, you know what, we saw it coming. In terms of Chester Williams moving over to Commissioner of Police. And I'll go directly to you before we get on to your senior and your junior. How do you feel? What is it like for you? You are actually at the helm of things, of fighting crime in our country.
Well, I am humbled by the opportunity. And I must give thanks to my predecessor for giving me the opportunity to have done the things I did that brought me into the spotlight. And give thanks also to the Prime Minister and his government for recognizing my potential and entrusting me with the leadership of the Belize Police Department. But while, yes, it is a good feeling to be appointed the Commissioner of Police, I am not yet in a mood to celebrate. The task ahead is still an enormous one that we will have to find ways and means as to how to tackle. Mm-hmm. The public do have expectations, and at the end of the day, you know that the people we serve are our bosses. Mm-hmm. They can dictate how you move, and the government do have expectations as well. And so as the Commissioner of Police and my two deputies, we have the task of ensuring that we develop policies that will move the police department forward while reducing crime within the country.
Mm-hmm. Now, I want to say, first of all, congratulations to all of you in your elevated posts. And I want to jump in. I was joking about what we're going to call you, Chester, because, you know, we're used to saying Chester. Will
That's
it be?
My name.
Yeah, no. If we'll say Compo
name.
Williams, Compo Chester, we'll figure that out.
When I leave police, I still Chester Williams.
Still Chester.
You know, so that's the name my mother gave me, and I'm happy with my name. So feel free. Chester is good.
But what I wanted to dive into is looking at the change in position from being one of the executors to being the person who spearheads all the strategies and pretty much the direction for the police department. I'm sure in your role as deputy, you probably have thoughts and ideas as to what you would have liked to do. How prepared were you in taking up this role as to where you see your vision for the police department?
Well, when I was the senior deputy, I was pretty much behind the policies that drives the operations. Mm-hmm. Yes, I could not have done things the way I wanted to because I'm not the boss. Mm-hmm. I'm still subject to the direction of the Commissioner of Police. And so now that I am the Commissioner now, I am the one now who directs the operations and policies of the department. And so I have more latitude now to be able to put my commanders in different areas where I believe that we'll be able to get better results out of them, as well as to develop policies that I believe will be best suited to reduce crime and violence across our country. And so far, things have been going well, the transition. We have met, myself, the two deputies, and the other members of the High Command. We met on numerous occasions to discuss the way forward. And yesterday, we have our All Officers Conference where we brought in all the senior officers across the country to Belize. And we brought them up to date in terms of where we are and where we're going, and let them understand what is the new direction this administration wants to take the department and what we expect of them to ensure that those objectives are achieved. Today, we'll be meeting with the officers in Eastern Division. You know, there's a hot button issue with the 12 hours, 8-hour shift system.
Yes.
And it is something that we really and truly need to look at, not because we want to change the shift, but because we want to ensure that the welfare of the officers is taken care of, and at the same time, that the public gets the level of policing that they deserve from us.
Yeah.
And we cannot have officers working 12 hours. And out of the 12 hours,
You feel it's ineffective?
yes, after the 8 hour, they becomes ineffective, right? And when they become ineffective, it is dangerous for them. It is dangerous for the public. I can tell you many times people call me even big day because the police boots are locked up, the police officers are in there sleeping. Imagine if they can do that during the day, then imagine during the night time. I drove around the city sometime till 12, 1 in the morning, and I see it myself. I wake them up, and many times the commanders attempt to put them on charge for sleeping while on duty, and I am the one who intervened and said, no, I understand the difficulty the officers are going through. You know, you come off duty at 7 in the morning, you catch a bus to go to Corozal. You get to Corozal around 11, 12. By 2 o'clock, you have to be on the bus coming back again for 7. What rest do you get?
Yeah.
So the time that they get to sleep is on the job. So the 4 days of working, the first day you might get something out of them. The second day you might get something. On the third day, the performance begin to decrease because the tiredness set in.
Yeah.
Then when they find that they cannot come to work because they're so tired, they report sick. So it is a problem that we must find a way to address. And by any account, the laws of the country clearly states that a worker work 5 days a week and get 2 days off. A total of 45 hours per week, per day. Sorry, per week.
No, per week.
Right? And to bring it to the 8 hours, they'll be working 40 hours per week, which is less than what the law requires. Right? And they
What do
get
you
the 2
think is
days
the
off.
pushback?
So
Is it the number of days off in between?
the number of days off is the pushback. So while, yes, they want to enjoy the number of days off, which I agree with them, but the number of days working we're not getting because the level of performance decreases.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to ignore the fact that you're flanked by your senior and
Deputies,
junior
yeah.
deputy here, and I suppose that perhaps one would read that to mean that you are taking a team approach to your leadership. And I want to hear from both of them in terms of how the change in command, what your own thoughts are, how optimistic you are about it.
Well, the change in command was about to happen. Mr. Wiley served as the longest commissioner for 6 years. So it is only fitting that the man with the law degree gets the nod to become the top cop. That's a record in itself, the first serving attorney to become the commissioner of police. And I certainly welcome that. We need to put policies in place so that we have smooth transition thereafter, before we leave, so that the department can have a smooth transition. Nevertheless, I moved to Commander Operations, National Commander Operations, and my responsibility now has to deal with operations, crime, and community policing. And we have plans in place that will see enhanced citizen security. Mr. Williams has charted the way for us to deal with the bars and nightclubs, domestic violence, and the gang problem. So
3 main issues.
yes, so those are the issues that we'll be focusing on.
Okay.
You've been given your mandate.
Yes.
All right.
Well, good morning again. Well, I was anticipating this because I have noticed that over the past years, through the history of the department, a commissioner normally stays between 3 and 4 years.
Okay.
So after 4 years, I start anticipating that anything could happen. And so I know that Mr. Williams is an attorney at law, and the first attorney at law who have ever become commissioner of police. And because of his qualification and one of the most qualified person in the department, I had also anticipated that he would have been selected to become the commissioner of police. And so again on this show, I want to publicly commend Mr. Williams for his achievement. Because I've known Mr. Williams ever since he was a little boy. You know, he come from humble home.
Yes.
You know, he know what hard time is. And he struggled to reach where he's at. It didn't just come like that. And so for a person like him who have fought to reach where he's at, he had to be commended. And he had selected me to become his second deputy. And I'm in charge of administration. And under administration comes welfare within the Belize Police Department. And welfare of the personnel is very important because the human resource is very important to this department. And to motivate our personnel is important because much is expected of the police department. And we can only achieve that through our personnel. And so as early as tomorrow, I'll be having a meeting with all welfare officers of the department from north to south and east to west. And we'll be charting the way forward in relation to what we expect of them, because they're supposed to be representing us in the different formations. We're supposed to be hearing from them when officers are sick, when officers are in problem, when officers are stressed out, when they are in need, so that we can see how we can assist our officers. Also under my portfolio comes the resource like vehicles, the police stations, the police PSB that deal with complaints. So I have a wide range of officers that come under my command. And so I also need to have meeting with all those that come under my office so that they can understand my style. And my style is adjusted based on the style of the Commissioner of Police. He has already explained to us the way forward, what he expects, and I will be approaching that in a very aggressive way as quick as possible.
Now, Compo Williams, you've been given a laundry list of things that the public, and been communicated through the media, expect will be addressed. And I know you have answered most of them already, but I want to dive deeper into the issue of violent crimes, especially here in Belize City. Now, one of the things we've seen over the years is a number of different strategies that have been put into effect. A number of them unpopular as well. We can go back to when there was the crackdown on public drinking and the quality of life crimes. And there were people being stopped for lights on their bikes and the loitering as well. We can go back to the curfew as well. And of course, the most recent was the state of emergency. Given your experience in attempting to implement strategies, whether popular or unpopular, to try to get a control on crime, is that what we can expect to see moving forward with you at the head of the police department?
Yes, Mariano, you know that I am pro-community policing. I once did not embrace it, and I have learned to appreciate and embrace community policing. And as the Commissioner of Police, I will continue to embrace community policing. But we must also understand that community policing does not mean that we must allow criminals to operate at will. Community policing simply means that we work in conjunction with the community in order to make the community more safer. And I have said before, and I'm going to say it again, that under my administration, we are going to do whatever is necessary to ensure that the masses of our country are not held hostage by the minority. And if it is that we are doing what we can to reach out to those who we believe can make a change in life, and there are those who are constantly perpetuating criminal acts and think that they can hold us hostage, I will be the first to make recommendations for a state of emergency. Maybe that's the only language some people understand. And I know that it is not popular in certain sectors of a society. But if you were to do a polling of the Belizean people, you will find that it is popular with the Belizean people. If a matter of fact, people are still asking today, when are you going to do another one? Right? And so I'm not going to hesitate if the need arises. But in the look at the laws that can be used, i.e. the amendment to the Crime Control and Criminal Justice Act that deals with gang membership and gang involvement. And we have tasked the Gang Task Force to investigate and develop data on all the gangs in Belize, particularly in Belize City. And whenever it is that we have gathered those data and we see a particular gang behaving a certain way, then we're going to wheel them in under the law. And then we're going to take them to court. And then we see how the courts are going to treat with it. You would know that we had the amendment recently where once you're charged under the gang law, the magistrate court cannot give you bail. You have to go to the Supreme Court again for bail.
You're automatically remanded.
Exactly. So that is a tool that we intend to use as well. We will work with CYDP. I have had discussions with Ms. Westby. I don't think that we should charter the way for mediations and interventions. We will leave that to be done by CYDP. But what I have discussed with Ms. Westby is that what I would want to see out of CYDP is that we have what is called a homicide reduction unit. Now, the homicide reduction unit will comprise of civilians and police officers who will be working within CYDP. I intend to give them more police officers. And we want that whenever there is information of a conflict developing in a certain area, that these officers, who will be referred to as conflict officers, can move into these areas with a view to see how they can diffuse the conflict before it escalates to a stage where persons are being killed. And this is trying to be more proactive. I know I've said that it is our hope that we can reduce the murder rate to under 100 this year. I'm not saying that it will be done, but it is our hope.
That's your goal.
Yeah.
Yes, that's our goal. And I already see people, prominent people in society, try to make a mockery of it. Is it that they feel good to see our young black men killing themselves? And the sad part is that these people who are on Facebook trying to make a mockery of that claim to be human rights advocate. Now, how could you be a human rights advocate and enjoy seeing young people killing themselves? I would have expected that those persons would say, you know what, let us see what we can do with the police to make sure the police achieve this goal. Because a life lost creates a chain of things.
Of course.
Children are left without fathers, brothers and sisters are left without their brothers, breadwinners are being lost. You know, they should try to embrace and say, you know, let's work with the police and not try to make a mockery and to say what it is unachievable.
If I would go back to the question I just asked, and I think a goal of reduction in homicides is in any way something that would be embraced by the wider public. The concern probably comes from when there is a mentality of the end justifies the means. And so I gave you the example of some very unpopular strategies that you put in place. The reason I ask that is because I have had this question many times right here on the set with police representatives. What data do we have to substantiate that these strategies actually work? Because from a layman's perspective, if you do a state of emergency once and there's a common crime for a period of time and you have to do it again, then it wasn't really effective. It was a Band-Aid over an infected wound.
Yes, go ahead.
As a society, we keep fooling ourselves because the real problem is not a law enforcement problem. The real problem is a social problem.
Absolutely.
Lack of social control. When we have children being born into degraded neighborhoods, having no nutritional supplement for their brain to be developing properly and so forth, and being indoctrinated into, they don't like you the blood for life, or you the crip for life, and we sit idle by and does nothing as a society in terms of taking care of our children. Those children grow up in those neighborhoods with that indoctrination and they become violent. They don't care about you nor me because that's what's been told to them. And until we put something in place to take care of those children, we will see the level of reduction in crime in the next 12, 15 years.
So you want to stem the problem?
We have to.
Mostly.
And it goes a lot in terms of looking at diversion programs for the younger generation. I have always said that if we don't look after the younger generation growing up today, in the next 4 or 5 years, they are going to be the ones who will be giving us trouble. And this is the reason why we venture into programs like the mentorship program. And again, we're hoping that we can start that program very soon. We want to have one every year, that we can have a different cohorts of young people coming in, and we can have them being inspired by persons who have gone through what they're going through right now. And like Mr. Broaster said, it spans beyond the ability of the police. And so we have to work and collaborate with other agencies. I have said CYDP.
You met
I
with
have
the
met
CEO
with-
of Human Development,
Yes, I
as
have
well
met
as
with
the wife of
CEO,
the Prime Minister?
the wife of the Prime Minister. We are in discussion to see what we can do about domestic violence and child abuse. And I'm very much optimistic that very soon we'll have a very huge development where those two particular crimes are concerned.
Yeah.
And once we can control domestic violence, I'm not saying that we can stop it, because they will always be. But I believe that if we can do more sensitization and let persons who are victims of domestic violence know the different avenues available to them, then you'll see a reduction in that as well. And so if we can stem that and stem the abuse of children, we'll be making significant stride. Then we have to look at the issue of the bars, right, or the nightclubs. We want to collaborate with the chairman of the liquor licensing board across the country, because nightclubs are an issue. Last year alone, we have over 35 murders committed that starts at the nightclub and they end up in murders on the street.
Is it the nightclub or is it the alcohol?
Well, the nightclub, they goes together. People goes in the nightclub, get so intoxicated, then they begin fighting the nightclub, they leave the nightclub, then end up killing each other. And again, in our meeting yesterday with our officers, we explained to them that there is a law that states that you're not to sell alcohol to a person who is already intoxicated.
Yeah.
But yet you go to this nightclub, you see people barely standing on their feet, and
Still
the
making-
owner
yeah.
still selling. He's only interested in making money. So we need to enforce these laws as well. And you spoke of the quality of life offenses, but those must be at the forefront, because these same quality of life offenses that we neglect to enforce are the ones that eventually turns up to bigger crimes. So we have to start from the bottom if we want to achieve our ultimate goal.
This is a common issue in this country, where we do have laws, but they're not being enforced.
Yeah.
And I would say in the police department, we do have units that are perhaps not working or not being able to achieve the results. For example, there is the domestic violence unit. I think it's called family violence now.
Yes.
There is the gang suppression unit. There is the anti-drug unit. And I want to talk about whether or not you will work on being able to have them fulfill their actual mandate. Let me give you an example. The majority of the reports we get from the gang suppression unit is about busting drugs. And we have a growing problem of gangs in this country. And by nature of identifying as a gang, these persons have committed a crime based on the recent amendments with stringent regulations. How do you work to ensure that the concepts that have been put forward of a gang suppression unit or an ADU or a family violence will be more effective in what they have been set out to do in the first place?
Of course, yes. And I will say that we have a very vibrant and active commando operations in the person of Mr. Marco Vidal. You would know that he has his style of operating, and he's very hard charged when it comes to operational issues. And so he has the mandate of overseeing all the operational units, which include GSU. I am not going to venture to say that GSU have not been successful, because the truth is they have done a lot in terms of policing the gang areas, because as much as we have the amount of murders we did last year, it could have been worse. Yes, there is a need to refocusing them to focus more on their mandate. And so that has been tasked to Mr. Vidal. He has met with the commanders of those units and have also met with some of the units individually. And moving forward, he'll be ensuring that he meets with all units to explain to them the need to go back to their mandates. When it comes to domestic violence unit, again, that unit, likewise, I'm not going to say has not been fulfilling its mandate. Yes, more can be expected of the unit, and that's the reason why we are in dialogue right now, myself, the Special Envoy, and the CEO in the Human Development and Social Transformation, to see what we can do to boost the domestic violence unit, to be able to meet the objective that Belizean people expect of it.
What have you found to be the challenge there? I mean, I can't tell you how many stories we've heard in our very own newscast where people say the police knew, the police came to the house.
One of the things I have directed my officers is that once there's a complaint of a domestic violence nature, we are going to arrest and charge whether or not the victim wants court action. If the victim don't
Is that legally allowed?
Yes. If the victim don't want court action, then let them go to the court and tell the court that they don't want anything. So that if things escalate later on and someone get hurt or someone get killed, the blame cannot be left on us. We'll be able to say, see, they came to us, we charged, they went to court, he or she went to court and withdrew the matter. There is nothing more that we could have done.
Well, then again, a violent act was conducted
Exactly.
against somebody.
Yeah.
Now, I wanted to venture off into a few things. I think one of the things that is happening in our country is children having children. I think one of the things that is happening in our country is that children are actually having their children watch things that are not suitable for children and raising them up in that particular fashion. I think one of the things that our children are doing with their children is actually seeing them holding a gun position and thinking that it's cool, or saying a bad word and say, oh my God, you just hear what my baby just said? I can't believe that, and then laugh about it. There and then, the child actually think it's a good thing.
Right.
And they continue on being this nuisance in the area, growing up because everybody felt that that particular child was cool. I wanted to jump on the fact that policing is not just for the police. Policing is everybody's business.
Business, yeah.
So while you're at the helm of things, Compol Williams, going into neighborhoods, meeting people, first-hand basis, what are they saying to you about how they can help in dealing with crime?
Well, many persons have reached out to me since I was appointed commissioner and have offered their support and their help in whatever way they can. And we are surely going to tap into many of the offers that we have been receiving. For example, we want to ensure that we develop more neighborhood watch groups across the country, particularly in the areas that are more infested with crimes. We want to collaborate with different NGOs to look at social problems, especially where children are concerned. We will be collaborating with CYDP. We have our camera system that we're working on. We want to develop that system even further. And so again, we will be collaborating with the business community to see what they can do for us to be able to enhance the camera system to make it more effective. Yes, we have gotten great results from it, but I believe that the cameras can do much more. And so through collaborations again, we'll see how we can enhance the services that we're getting from these cameras. So there is a wide sector of things that we want to focus on. And it will take some time, yes. But I am sure that with the support that I have been getting and with the assistance of the other officers in the department, particularly my 2 deputies, we surely will see a reduction in crime at the end of the year.
Let me get Deputy Mariano to talk about you spoke of the many different responsibilities you have, and one I think that is most critical is looking at the professional standards branch and being able to gain control over the few rogue cops. And I say this time and time again, there are good officers in this country, but the ones who are bad really give the entire force a bad reputation. And I want to talk about what approach you are going to take in being able to address some of the concerns that people have about the professionalism of the police force.
Yes, first of all, I would like to mention that I myself also used to be the commander of PSB, which was then called Internal Affairs. That time I was assistant superintendent. I was there for about 4 years and I grew up to the rank of superintendent. So I have a lot of knowledge about PSB, one of the things that I want to do is to join the PSB or to work. We already have a new group led by Mr. Westby. I cannot remember the name
Citizens
of
Complaint
the
Board.
Citizen Complaint Board. So I will continue to work with them. We also want to rope in the Ombudsman Office and the human rights. It's important for us to work together as a front so that we can approach the issues within the department. I believe that by working and looking at the welfare of the officers, we'll be able to see less frustration of the officers, and the police officers, when going out on the street, will be able to be more professional in dealing with the public. However, for those officers who continue to commit offenses and crime, it will be dealt with swiftly. That is my instructions. Most of these cases that the PSB investigate are cases that can be concluded within 2 or 3 days. And I'm sure that whenever there's any complaint, it will be concluded within 2 or 3 days, and it will be dealt with immediately.
You've made that commitment to the public, but I want to go just a little bit deeper, because I always, you know, when you see these videos, and that San Pedro video was a really classic
Really.
example, but there have been others. I don't know if these officers enter the force with this type of power trip, or it's been building over time. And we hear quite a bit of anecdotal stories from civilians who say, you know, I asked for the badge number, or I asked for the name, or I asked for the reason I'm being stopped, and I'm told off, for lack of a better word. So just the approach, the day-to-day interactions seems to be where there's an erosion of professionalism within the force. So before we get to the kicking an unconscious man in the head, it seems to be a problem from long before.
Yeah, but
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
hence the reason why we are embarking upon field training for all our officers across the country in professionalism. We have the public service training unit that will be doing training for all our officers in delivering professional service to the public. We have another officer who will be doing field training in defensive tactics as to how you defend yourself but detain an individual properly and professionally, so that you won't see those type of incidents going viral on video and so forth. Also in vehicle stops and house searches, post-quarter combat, we'll be doing a lot of significant training in terms of getting our police officers professional and delivering professional service to the public.
And going back to the issue of asking the officers their name, we'll be moving full speed ahead with ensuring that every police officer have their name tag on their uniform. Like you can see Mr. Broaster's one.
Excellent.
So there'll be no issue of knowing the name of an officer when he's out there performing his duty, and that will be a must. Every uniform that they wear must bear the name tag. So we have to move full speed ahead with that to ensure that the public knows exactly which officer they're interacting with.
You should know. You have a right to know.
Yeah.
Now, because we're running out of time so quickly, I know I'm jumping from issues, but another critical area is investigations. And I know the last time I said the conviction rate was still at 3%. I was told that the numbers have changed. We haven't gotten the statistics. You may know more. But we know that a lot of times when we hear the court reports coming out, a fundamental issue in why people who've been charged when they finally get to court, that the case falls through, is because of some of the investigation or lack of investigation that has taken place. This is a crucial area, because while we can talk about the success of a reduction in homicides or violent crimes, your conviction rate is also a part of your success or failure. What are we doing, and especially with your law background now, to enhance the investigation of the police department, investigation skills of the department?
I don't fully agree with you. But
In what way?
In a sense that many of the cases that goes down is for lack of proper police investigation. I will tell you that before our cases goes to trial at the Supreme Court, our cases goes to the DPP office for vetting. And if there is not proper investigation, the DPP office will not send a matter up for trial at the Supreme Court. And I can tell you the DPP is a very stern woman when it comes to that. Many of the cases falls because of lack of cooperation from witnesses. As I've always said before, the wheels of justice starts with the public and it ends with the public. It requires the public coming to the police to make a complaint, and it ends with the public going to the court and say to the judge or the magistrate, Your Honor, my lord, this is what I saw took place. And we have not been getting that. And that is one of the main reasons why the cases are going down. No, I'm not saying that there have not been some that could be attributed to the investigation capability of the officers. Yeah. And there is the area where we need to improve. Looking at, Mr. Broaster spoke on other talk shows about the investigative training that we will be embarking on. And I also want to join forces or collaborate with the Bar Association to see where they can help the police with training as well. Training in the area of looking at the requisite amount of evidence needed in an investigation to put a case before the court. Training in the aspect of human rights. Training on procedures of making arrests. And the Bar Association do have money that can be used to further this training. And I'm happy to say that the DPP is the president of the Bar Association, and she knows some of our difficulties. So I'm sure that she'll be more than willing to collaborate with the police in that area. As Mr. Mariano also said, that we want to look at collaborating with the human rights group in Belize. Mr. Kevin Arthurs is a very good attorney, and he's a very outspoken human rights advocate. And I want to invite him to the table to see what he can offer to us in improving the way our officers interact with the public on the street. So there are several things that we want to do to ensure that the investigative capabilities of our officers are enhanced. And with that, then hopefully we can see an increase in our court conviction rate.
And while we're calling on the public to support us, we want to assure the public that we are embarking on a 10-year strategic plan with the Belize Police Department, where we've been conducting consultation already with the police department to increase more accountability on our part, more professionalism, more legitimacy and innovation, and the use of technology and what have you. So you'll see that 10-year 2020-2030 plan coming out shortly.
When there is a time, as we're in now, where this change in command has injected some hope into the public, it can very quickly lead to disappointment if they don't see fast changes. That's just, we rush things like that. That's how we are. What would you say to the public individually? I think you all have very major responsibilities about, one, their part, but also how to manage the expectations that they now have of a change between the police department and the public interaction and the effectiveness of the department itself.
Go first. No?
The police will embark on trying to mend that relationship with the community. We will do all that we can to work and to reach out to the community and to make ourselves available to the community. And just this week, we are putting things in place. All the new officers who have been reshuffled and put in new places have been put in place this week. And so the community will be seeing a vast difference in police action, in police response, and in the way police do things, because we continue to keep our eyes open and to listen to the concern of the community. And so we want to ask them to continue to communicate with us. Don't be afraid to give us complaints, or if they know anything they want to share information, we have our numbers available. Feel free to call us, and we'll do all that we can to ensure that law and order prevail, and we will work hard enough to ensure that the Commissioner achievement for 2019 is achieved.
I would tell an individual to slow their roll, play their part, hold us accountable, because the community is as much as a stakeholder in this fight against crime, as my good buddy there said, as we are. And when the community sees something and they don't say anything, we can't stop it. But if they see something, whether it be police brutality, police abuse, or crime in progress or a crime about to occur, you need to say something so that we can deal with it.
Yeah.
And that is the role that I believe we ought to enjoy with the community. And for us, being professional with the community will only enhance that cooperation with the community.
Yeah.
So that's my thing to the community.
For me, I would say that patience is always a virtue, and Rome was not built in a day. Yes, we do understand and appreciate the fact that the public need to see results. And I can tell you we have hit the ground running because we do appreciate the fact that the results are needed and needed very quickly. We have been trying to ensure that we do not let January get away from us. January historically has been one of the most deadliest months of the year. And I think that while we started off bad with 5 in one day, we have been able to get ourselves together and take the matter under control. And so to this date now, from 5 in the first day, we have currently 8. Last year, January, we had 15 in terms of murders. And so I think that we are making great strides so far. But again, we cannot be tooting our horn so quickly. We still need to focus on the things that are more important to us in terms of ensuring that the public expectations is met. And like my 2 deputies have said, it is not something that we will be able to achieve alone. So as much as the public want to see results, then I will also ask the public to ensure that they play their part as well to help us to achieve that result that they want to see us achieve. Sir Robert Peel said that the police is the community and the community is the police. The only difference is that the police is the one who are charged with the responsibility of enforcing the laws. And so with that, with those words from Sir Robert Peel itself, is very important for the public to know that they too are the police. And again, he also said that the true success of police is not measured by the amount of arrests that the police make, but rather by the police not making arrests. Because if the police are not making arrests, it shows that crime are not being committed. Right? So if we don't see too much arrests being made, then don't think that this is because we're not working. It simply means that we have become more effective and less crime is being broken, and so the amount of arrests is going to decrease. I can assure the Belizean people that I am going to work night and day to ensure that they are safe, but I also call upon them to play their role in ensuring that the results that they want to see is achieved at the end of the year.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Well, you know, I have to say one thing. As Belizeans, there's absolutely no way we can wish bad on the department or on your strategic direction, because your success equals to our safety as well, and our peace of mind.
True.
So thank you for coming in, and we know
Thank you
you've
so
always
much.
been accessible to the media. We hope this doesn't change. I gotta say that now. All 3 of you, we do appreciate it, because this is really how the wider public is able to understand what is happening and what your goals are. So best of luck.
Thank you too.
All right.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and take a break, and when we come back, we're talking about lessons from Berlin. One therapist is coming to talk about her experience of using marijuana for psychotherapy. So stay tuned.
We come back.